You can lose weight on an e-mountain bike, and today we have got a professional coach to show us how. You might have seen many of our colleagues on GCN agonising over weight. I think a lot of the time it's mostly so they can get into the ridiculous clothes they wear. But don't forget that being light and fit and young even isn't necessarily going to make you fast. Nevertheless, losing a bit of weight ain't no bad thing. It's going to enable you to get a few more watt hours out of your battery. It's going to enable you to climb a bit faster. And when combined with some good for you lifestyle changes, it's just going to make you feel that bit sharper. But is this going to involve hardcore training and a life of sobriety, I hear you ask? Well, no, it isn't. In fact, you won't even have to wear tight clothes or ride on the road with nasty cars and lorries or become a vegan or join any kind of cult. And all you need is one of these, an EMTB, any size, any colour, and also one of these, a personal coach. In this instance, Alan Milway of Milway Performance, who today is going to impart some of his knowledge to you guys. Al, the great thing about EMTBs is the rider dictates the effort, right?
That's the thing I love about e-bikes. You know, normally it's the terrain that dictates your effort. Steep climbs can really make you have to work hard. But with the e-bike, you can grade that effort. So it allows you to get out for longer, not feel as though, you know, you've blown a gasket after an hour, and try and extend your riding time.
Yeah. Now, today we're going to be talking about how to lose weight, but I don't think people should get too hung up about losing weight, right? I think it's about like having a general healthy lifestyle, isn't it?
It is. It really is a simple case of calories in versus calories out. If you can enjoy your riding, you're going to burn more calories, and maybe just a little bit of self-discipline in the cafe after.
Oh, well, we'll see about that. Al, we're going to have to wait for the bacon rolls for an hour or so, but I guess with weight loss comes increased fitness, doesn't it?
They really go hand in hand. The main thing is trying to get some regular exercise in, and regular exercise will kickstart your metabolism. And with that, you burn fuel more readily, you burn fat as a fuel more readily, and it can make you leaner.
You say more exercise. I mean, are we talking lots more exercise?
No, for me, it's not the intensity you have to worry about. I think a lot of people are a little bit scared that they're going to have to work super hard and they're going to feel shattered afterwards. The great thing when it comes to a healthy lifestyle and burning fat as a fuel is the exercise intensity is actually lower to mobilise that fat and burn it. So for me, it's a case of trying to build in steady state, fun rides.
Okay. Hill ahead.
Let's go for it. Let's go.
Al, do you know what? I love e-mountain bikes. They just open up mountain biking to so many people. But I think what's interesting is that in as much as you can ride an e-bike in eco mode at high intensity, you can also ride an e-bike, you know, in turbo mode at low intensity. And I guess there's dangers with that, isn't it, when it comes to food intake?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the big thing. You can find yourself going out for an hour, but at relatively low effort, but still feel as though you deserve a lot of intake afterwards.
And I deserve it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. I also see, and unfortunately we see them littered around here, where people have had energy gels or carbohydrate drinks, and they don't really need to take on those calories. And really, like we were saying before, it's all about that calorie deficit, isn't it?
So when you talk calorie deficit, I've read somewhere that we need to be looking at between 300 to 500 calorie deficit per day. I guess that's equivalent of, you know, maybe a burger and fries or 3 pints of beer, heaven forbid.
Well, and this is it. Sometimes it's easier said than done because old habits die hard.
They do.
And for me, I think it's informed choices, understanding what you're putting in your body. I worked with a motocross rider and we did a lot of training in the gym and went for a coffee, and he wanted a large caramel latte. It's like 500 calories in the coffee. So I was like, maybe we need to change. But also what's at home in the cupboard. Yeah. I honestly think if it's not in the cupboard, you probably won't miss it.
All right. It's great, isn't it, Al? I mean, we're riding our 150, 180 bikes on a fire road, but anyway, an e-mountain bike is a great all-body workout, you know, uphills, downhills. But, you know, I see my colleagues on GCN and they talk about when is best, you know, when's the best time to train. They talk about in between high-intensity rides, but I think e-mountain bikers don't really do a lot of that, do they?
I'd say for an e-biker, the great thing about these is you can get out more frequently. You can fit in these power hours, so short space of time. You can fit in longer rides. And what I find is great about them is it doesn't wipe me out. If I've got to go coaching or I've got a long gym session ahead with somebody, I can do a ride and I can monitor, I can decide the effort level I want to be at.
Yeah. And the other thing I hear them talking about is, about when. Some of them even go out before breakfast when they do their training rides.
Yeah, so training on in a fasted state is actually really, really good. When we talk about health and losing weight, you can actually mobilize fat as a fuel a bit more readily. So if you're on your e-bike, you can get access to maybe a trail, go for 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be first thing in the morning, maybe delay breakfast slightly, especially if you're working from home.
I don't think I'll be doing that, but yeah, I think the e-bike is that flexible tool, any time of year, any time of day, and it's particularly good in the mud as well, folks, if you've not ridden an e-mountain bike.
Yeah.
But is just riding enough? That's the question.
I guess that's the $1 million question. The short answer is yes. But the big problem, I think, is having that little bit of discipline to understand the effort you're putting in. I think that heart rate monitor is a really good tool for this.
Yeah.
And actually trying to understand what an elevated heart rate feels like. It doesn't have to be super high. And in all the testing I've done with all the different athletes, a common number, 135, 140 beats a minute.
Right.
You can sustain that for hours on end. That's a very aerobic training zone for a lot of people.
Okay.
And some people will find that that's not appropriate for them, but for a lot of people, you'll find that it will take some effort, but it's sustainable.
So a heart rate monitor then or a Garmin or something like that, a great tool to use in conjunction with your ride, right?
Exactly. And understanding that the only issue with an e-bike is you can cheat. You could be in turbo, you could have a very, very easy ride, and maybe feel as though you deserve more calorie intake than you need.
Yeah, having said that, Al, a lot of e-mountain bikes, they have actually got the technology you've got.
They're built in, aren't they?
You've got all the data, all the metrics there in front of you. So they are actually so far ahead of the curve in terms of the mountain bikes that, I used to ride years ago.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think having this technology, what's really good is that people like to share the data. Yeah. So you can share with your friends or you can actually just analyze it after the ride, see what you've done.
Al, when you coached me with strength and conditioning plan when I raced downhill, that was incredibly detailed and it was fantastic. It was great to be able to follow a plan. But with an e-bike, and we're just talking about losing weight, is it good to have like a detailed plan on what you're doing?
I don't think you need a detailed plan, but I think you need a conscious approach. So trying to plan what is realistic. For me, the most important aspect in any plan is that it's manageable. So there's no point coming up with this grand plan to ride 5 days a week if that's just not practical. Even if you're riding 2 days a week, that's the approach to try and maintain consistency.
Okay, right. And what about, I think body fat, we've talked about body fat and I think it's important for you to understand it's good to have a healthy body fat, not a Tour de France one, because the Tour de France races, let's face it, they've probably got that weight for 3 weeks of the year, right?
Yeah, and this I think is to me is one of the dangers and worrying aspects of sort of social media and people putting these ideal physiques out there, because often they're ideal for look at us. They've got these physiques for a short period of time. We want something that's sustainable. So we want to, I think, for me, it's people understanding what they're putting in their body. A Big Mac meal is 1,000 calories. Now, I'm not saying don't have a Big Mac meal, but I'm saying if you've had that for your lunch, I probably wouldn't be having a big tea.
Yeah.
Just understand what you're taking in and getting that balance.
I think one thing which you've not discussed is, and it's something I actually do, is when I go out on a bike ride, when I go on an e-bike ride, I'll do a route 1 week and I'll ride it in turbo mode, and then the following week I'll try and do the same route but in trail, and then do it in eco the week after that. So I think there's kind of a system, isn't there, to your training? I think it could be a tip people could use.
Yeah, definitely. I think what you've touched on is that training's progressive. So if you're fit and if you're just trying to get into a routine, use turbo, get yourself out there, give yourself a chance to ride for an hour that you might not otherwise do. But then as you start to get fitter, like we've talked about with the heart rates, try and use your heart rate a little bit, try changing the modes. And you might find that you're actually able to bring someone else along. So you're in eco and then you've got someone else along on the same ride in turbo.
That's the great thing about e-bikes, isn't it?
That's brilliant.
Great. I think great insight. I think I'm. The penny's beginning to drop. I think from now on, I think I will definitely go from 2 pieces of cake to 1.
That's true. That's really good. Of you,
honestly,
Steve.
it's your insight is invaluable. I'm telling you, folks. Thanks for watching. Any questions regarding fitness or losing weight? Get in touch in the comments down below, or in fact, get in touch with Alan at Millway Performance. Right?
Yeah. Happy to answer anything that anyone's got. Always happy.
And we'll see you next time. We're going to be taking a look at how the pros actually use e-mountain bikes for training too.